after serving 33 years in prison for a crime he did not commit, but now he could head back to prison if convicted of attempted murder.
We first brought you Edward Taylor's story last month when he was released from prison. Evidence proved he did not sexually assault a girl back in the 80s.
Now surveillance camera footage shows a man suspected of being Taylor shooting a 61-year-old man. News 4 Jax reporter Janice Harris joins us live from where that crime happened. And Janice, you met Taylor the day he was exonerated. Now back in jail facing these new charges. Does anyone know the motive behind this crime that he's accused of?
At this time, we do not know the motive, what led up to this shooting, but what we do know is that it was caught on these cameras that you see right here.
Come on, Taylor, you're making the guys that get out and stay out look bad, man. 33 years wasn't enough. Let's get into it. What's up, friends? White Boy Radio back in the house. And hey, look, you've seen it. So apparently this story comes out of Jacksonville. And it's a guy, Edward Taylor. He was incarcerated for 33 years. He was imprisoned. And just over a month ago, his conviction for a 1986 sexual assault of a 4-year-old girl was vacated. But on Friday, Taylor was arrested and accused of attempted murder following a shooting on Philip Randolph Boulevard. 33 years sitting in prison for something that you didn't do. And I can only imagine everybody who not only thought that he did it, that guy had a rough time. He was not respected. He was thrown into the immediate garbage human file. And no matter what prison he went to or wherever he was at, he had a rough time, a real rough time. He was literally labeled a chomo, a pedo, and he didn't do it. I've never heard of vacated. I know a lot of cases back in the day in the 80s and whatnot, the DNA process is different now. And because of DNA, they do free people. I don't know if that has anything to do with this or not. I just know the guy did 33 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. He got out. He was out 40 days, people. 40 days. Just shy of 2 months. A little over one. And he's getting an attempt murder charge. Not only does he have an attempt murder charge, unlike his past conviction for the SA, he's caught on one of those street cameras. Here in my city and the surrounding areas, they don't have those yet. Let me know in the comments. Jacksonville, where this story's out of, they have a lot more crime than where I'm at. And I haven't even seen them in Tampa, now that I'm thinking about it. I'm sure they are in some parts. But there's more crime in that area, so they have those street cameras. And look, they got him red-handed. I don't know how he gets himself out of this one. He's an old man. I don't know when he went to prison the first time, but let's just say he was 18. Let's just say he went 18 to 20 years old, right? Because that's legally when you can go to prison as an adult, 18. So let's just give him 20 years old. We're going to round it off. He's at 20 years old plus 33 years. He's 50. That's 53. He's 53 years old, out for a little over a month, and he's looking to go back for the remainder of his life. I don't understand it. A little bit I do. Incarcerated, being institutionalized. Being institutionalized to the point where he's not used to dealing with normal people. He's back to what I said in the beginning of the video. He was the garbage human being file. And I'm not saying that man is that. I do not know him personally. I just know inside a prison, in Florida prison, exactly where all this happened for him is how they treat people, how guys treat other guys that come in for his charges. He had to be on his P's and Q's his entire 33 years. Maybe he just reacted in a violent, super violent way, like inside a prison, on the streets. It's probably what it is. Recidivism, hard word to say. But what it means is guys coming out and reoffending. It's the continued cycle of the door never closing. It's a word that means getting out of jail and prison and coming back reoffending. In Florida, there's a high rate of that. Um, you know, I always never wanted to be a stat. I wanted to break the odds, and I did for a very long time. But here recently, I fell back into that word. I broke the stats. I went against the odds for the amount of time that I stayed out with no convictions, no charges, nothing. I did good, but at the end of the day, I got arrested again. Regardless of the outcome of the case, regardless what happens, it still happened. And I can kind of side with this guy. Not that he did anything good either time he got arrested, but I can only imagine really what's going through his head as that door slams behind him, and he was like, "What was I thinking?" And the guilt, and when reality really sits in, because now he's used to, he knows what's going to happen next. He knows the system. He knows what he's going to. This is it doesn't make sense to me why he would do this, although he's institutionalized, I believe. Now, I don't know the man, I don't know the incident. I'm going to be keeping track of this story for sure. You would think somebody 33 years spent in the jail, in the prison, would get out and walk the straight and narrowest line you ever seen in your life. Unfortunately, not with him. You know, going in and out of jail happens a lot with guys that are battling addiction. A lot of you may have friends and family that you've seen go in and out of jail, because addiction is a whole different monster. You know, it's almost like the jail time didn't matter, and the time they spent inside, it didn't matter, because the second that they're out, they were away from that drug so long, they go right back to it. And with the drugs comes, with addiction comes jails, institutions, and death. It's the recipe that'll forever be the recipe. Who knows if he had addiction problems? It's just you just don't see these every day. You don't see someone get released. How did they word that? They worded that vacated. His charge was vacated. His 1986 SA was vacated. Could you imagine what this guy had to go through for 33 years? I'm telling you, as someone who has literally been in the Florida Department of Corrections, I'm telling you what happens to guys that are pedos and chomos. They, on a daily basis, they get messed with. I've seen it all. I've seen just sitting in the dorm, and one of my buddies kicked. He went over to a pedo, and this was an older guy. Kicked his locker off. The pedo was reading a book. He went over there and, with his boots on, he kicked the locker off. His locker. Slapped just backhanded him. Slapped the magazine out of his hand and opened his drawer and took all his food. His honey buns and whatnot. And I was like, this is somebody I hung out with. I said, hey man, what are you doing, bro? He's an old man, bro. Why would you do that? I was mad. But I didn't know what his charges were. And he's like, man, that dude's in here for blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? And instantly, I was so mad at my friend. I was really checking my friend. I was double thinking, slapping him for doing that to that old man, until I learned what that old man was in there for. And he wasn't lying to me. So because I was mad that he did that, other people were like, Matt, man, that dude's a pedo. That's just one day. People have bad phone calls inside a prison. Another time, I told this story before. I had to fight this guy, Chubbs. This guy had like the fastest hands in the pound. It's like a friggin' Roy Jones Jr. He called home. He called home, and the police killed his brother during an arrest, and he took it out on a whole bunch of pedos in the dorm. I had to end up fighting the guy because he then made it a racial thing, and he said no white dudes are allowed to eat any food. And who stuck up for the white guys? And that guy was the hardest fight of my entire life. It's on the channel. These guys go through hell. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. This is just for you to know. If you watch crime, if you follow the prison people, if you watch true crime and you have these real sick cases, understand that the punishment is well beyond what the judge says it is. Trust me. Trust me. My point is, this guy, 33 years of that. I wasn't locked up with this guy. I don't know what happened. I just know what goes down inside there. Maybe that had something to do with it. Could you imagine? 33 years of that. Who knows, man? This guy, for the most part, blew his life. We'll see what happens. Video footage is hard to beat. You know, I've said this before. You see a lot of stuff on YouTube with these YouTubers going back and forth. Their egos get in the way and whatever have you. People say and do some stupid things online. This is a video file right here. If I was to threaten somebody, if I was to do something really crazy, this is easy for a jury to decide my fate if they needed to watch it. That's hard to beat, and that's what they got him on with that gun and the shooting. They got video on him. It's the same way for some of you youngsters that are out there selling dope and whatnot. When you get set up by detectives, man, they're going to have your voice, they're going to have your text, they're going to have you on audio and video. You got to be smart. But tell me how you think about it in the comments. My guess on this one is this is the case of a lost soul. This is a case of a lost soul. And I hate to say that. I'm just a realist. This man did 33 years for something he did not commit. He got out, and I don't know the full extent to this attempt murder charge. But let's all be realist here. He was out for 40 days. 33 days. He had literally his childhood and a few teenage years. 33 years in prison. 40 days of freedom. And he's back for life. It can happen just that fast. Until the next one, use your heads. Be smart. It's White Boy Radio. I'm out.